the way in San Francisco, California. What can I say? This guy right here has been doing quite the great work, quite the successful work out there of Empire Recordings in San Francisco, California. Pleased to have here with me my dear friend, Billboard music producer, DJ extraordinaire, Clayton William.
What's going down, Justin? Good to see your face. Good to hear from you again. Feels like it's been a couple years since we did one of these, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been quite a while, but you've been doing quite a lot.
Man, a lot's happened since we last talked. I think last time we talked, I was still in Los Angeles, or around there. Or maybe was it right when COVID started? Yeah, before COVID. So yeah, since COVID, man, I ended up doing a deal and situation with Empire Records and based out of San Francisco. I've now relocated back to the Bay Area. It's cool because this is where I'm originally from. Man, I spent almost 7 years, 6.5 years in Los Angeles. So that was an awesome time to, really dive into the industry more. Like it was really cool to kind of like my time in LA. It was like, man, I got to work with everybody from Chris Brown to Justin Bieber to YG and all the way down. Um, and then now since being back in the Bay, I've kind of taken like what I've learned there and brought it now to my Empire team. It's been really cool because I've known the CEO of Empire, Ghazi, for man most of my adult life. He's watched, and been a part of my career since my early 20s, and so it feels really great, awesome to be a part of a music family that that really like it's Empire is like its own ecosystem. So we have teams all over the world. The hub is based out of San Francisco, um, but we have Africa team that's just killing it. We have now a Nashville team. We have a Latin team. They're building a team in Brazil. They have a team in Miami, New York, UK, London. They have an Empire Asia team in Jakarta, Indonesia. And I could be leaving out some spots. But I haven't. We have a Middle Eastern team. They call it Empire Wana for West Africa, North Asia. So man, it's been really cool just to really be a part of a musical family, and it was really nice to be when COVID had hit. Um, I got asked to come back up to the Bay Area, and it's been an honor just being a part of one launching that studio in the facility and being one of the first like three producer engineers in the building. Plus, there's was an incredible studio manager. Her name's Damo, and then my counterparts was Sean Sauce, who's like one of our head engineers, and then Darius Hughes. He's like me, he's a producer engineer, but he's from Chicago. So it was like the four of us who kind of got the foundation laid up in San Francisco, and now it's just grown so much. We just brought in like a new studio manager. Her name's Lola, and she comes from Dr. Dre's camp. She was Dr. Dre's chief engineer and won Grammys with Anderson .Paak. It's really awesome to just be a part of like an all-star cast, and I just have to do my role and play my part. Um, Probably one of the most exciting things for me as of late, like I mean, now that California was shut down for 2 years, so now the last year we've finally been open. So I've jumped out and started really DJing heavily again and really participating. Like, of course, like I'm from the Bay, so I always do West Coast hip hop. But for me, some of the most exciting things is really like we acquired a label called Dirty Bird, which is like one of the biggest like dance labels probably globally, but they're built in Northern California. Um, and when we did that, we started Empire Dance. So now I've heavily been working on like remixes for on the dance side, house EDM stuff, and then I've been working a lot with our Latin department and our Latin artists. So it's been fun. A lot of stuff, but I'm grateful and thankful, man.
Great to see you doing your thing now. During COVID, you were working on 600 songs, probably more than that now.
Yeah, I think I calculated it was about 300, 300 plus songs a year that I was working on.
What's
Yeah.
been the key to your success, and how have you kept it consistent?
I mean, I think that's the key, right? The key is consistency and find ways to just stay working. Um, COVID definitely taught me like I had to learn the internet. I had to learn how to start really focusing on community building. Like I mean, kind of like you and I, like, we've known each other for a handful of years now, and how important is it to just, we might not see each other all the time, but we still catch up, we still tap in, say what up online, right? And building like building relationships is so important, so I've really kind of taken those things to heart, instead of, I think when I was in LA, it was like I was trying to chase like the big artists. I think the difference for me now is like our bigger artists are being flown out to San Francisco, so I get to work with them when they come. Um, so it's less chasing, but it's more so relationship building and maintaining, you know, because everybody's definition of success is different. For me, of course, I still want the big, global number one song. Like, of course, like if you're trying to do music at a high level, like obviously, and maybe like a world tour. I think like those are the only things like I kind of haven't done yet, right? In order to get there, for me, I think the steps are, instead of chasing a big act like I was in LA, I think it's now building acts, you know, like because we have a ton of talent within like our Empire ecosystem. And it's like, for instance, I got to work with this artist named Ashake. And Ashake is like one of the rising stars coming out of Africa, or specifically Nigeria. And like I think I got to work with him maybe top of this year in 2023. And then his album just recently came out, maybe like less than 2 months ago. And I remember like in the first like month, he did over 200 million streams on the project. Three songs happened to hit like three songs hit like Billboard's viral whatever it was, whatever the category was. And two out of the three I had worked on. I got to work on those records. And so it's stuff like that that's like it's so gratifying to me, like to help artists and work with artists that are maybe not as known, and watching them go from breaking through to like boom, like global, and that's something that like Ashake is in the process of. Like he's a monster already, like in Africa and Europe. And I know like we're helping with some of his marketing stuff in the US. And so it's really gratifying to see an artist like that. And he's so talented. Like talent is one thing, and then being just like spiritually in tune and having purpose with music. You guys just have to listen to his project. Like, but listen, go check out. His name is Ashake. He's from Africa. This guy is amazing. And then like his team is amazing. He comes from like the big brother of his label is this guy named Alomide, who's like a legend from Africa. And then he's also had like one of his label mates is Fireboy. And Fireboy had a record with Ed Sheeran, I think last year, called Peru, that was, top 10 record, like globally. It's already platinum. So yeah, I mean, stuff like that's been really, really uh, just gratifying, But I think that there's no secret. It's just about being consistent, being available. I think sometimes I've been willing to do things that a lot of people won't. Like I'll be in the studio till 4 in the morning, you know, I'll be back up at 10, 11, back in the AM, back in the studio. I'll be working, it's not a 9 to 5 to me. It's all day, every day.
Yeah, you've worked over 200 songs, I mean, during COVID, and it's probably been a lot more, but I'm definitely proud of you and your success and your consistency. But just recently, you dropped a couple of records, two of them that I know as of right now, What We On, featuring Lil Jon, P-Lo, E40, and I'm sure there's probably a lot more on that. To the Floor with Suckarie, King Kayak, and Troopah, and Black It Dance.
So yeah, the What We On record's a little on Little John's album. So it's a Little John project. And it's Lil Jon, Lil Jon, Pilo, E40, and the Boii. I got to help Lil Jon with the whole project, so that was kind of like a dream come true. Like literally, like Lil Jon. I'm in the studio with Lil Jon, and he had an MPC, so he's making beats on his MPC or sketching ideas. And then he would knock out an idea, send it to me. I would load it in the computer, break it, break the track down, make edits, do arrangement things, maybe change some drums or tighten up some drums, or mix the track down a little bit, so that at least just get it mapped out, get the arrangement mapped out, so that artists could come in and write to it. And I remember that being like one of the first songs that we did, and it was really dope because he had this like purple, like I don't even know what it's called. It's like just like an old school like sound rack. And it was literally the same bass line that he used for Too Short's Blow the Whistle. And so it was cool like hearing him play a new melody with that same sound, and that's what a song sounds like, how it does. But yeah, that's a Lil Jon joint. That shit is out now. He just dropped a new song with this girl named Nine called Sneaky Link. And there's like it's a whole EP. So there's a dope song with like Too Short, Mr. Fab, and Stunner Man. There's another just Stunner Man and Lil Jon record. There's songs with Rex Life Raj and the SOB guys. And then yeah, To the Floor. That's like one of my jams right now. That's with my Caribbean brothers. Block the Dancers, like one of my superstar artists that I've been working with, for a while, like 4 or 5 years now. And he's based out of New York. His family's, I think, Trinidadian, and then his cousins who like are Suckarie and King Kayak. Like I believe Suckarie's family's Jamaican. So it's been cool to like with that record. And and then I co-produced that with this guy named HMXGOD. So he's actually part of like a dance crew from New York, and they're just really like a cultural leader like in their space. So yeah, it's cool. We've kind of taken like dance hall, mixed it with soca, and kind of put like a log drum from the Afrobeat side in there. It's just like a culturally like mixed record, but you can dance and shake your ass to it. And Suckarie even put some Spanish in there. So go check that one out. That's been fun. I've been playing that in the clubs a lot since it came out a few weeks ago.
Now, when speaking about Blow the Whistle, I'm gonna go back to one of your tracks that you did. January of 2019, you hit the Billboard Rhythmic chart at number 33 with Whistle featuring John Hart.
Yeah, man, that's when, yeah, like that's right as that was like my last year in Los Angeles. That was really cool experience. Just being, getting to work with. That was the first time I ever called Too Short to ask him to jump on anything, and the track did really well. It was huge in LA, got played on Kiss FM and Power 106 and Real, like so the big main radio stations out there. And I remember Empire, we did a deal with Empire on that. They helped us clear the sample. The sample had the whistle from one of Joel Santana's songs. And then they ended up getting Joel Santana on the remix. So you can see that video on YouTube as well. Yeah, that kind of, I had been doing music for a while up until that point, but that was kind of like, I kind of jump started a lot of shit that I've been doing now, really could allow me to connect like my DJing club connects across the West Coast. That was the first one to hit Billboard. Now I've had 5.
Since you've been working so hard as a music producer, I gotta ask you, what's the hardest part of working as a music producer, and what's the most fun?
The hardest is like staying focused, the crazy hours, the chasing artists, dealing with a lot of personalities. Um, yeah, that's probably the craziest side of it, because different people have different expectations. Some of these artists, they'll be in the studio till 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. I've had sessions with G-Eazy till 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and when you're working with guys like that, you got to keep going. You can't stop. I can't stop. If I stop, the session stops, you know? And, but it's also that it could also be some of the most fun too. So it's like, as I say, that might be some of the most difficult, like mentally or physically draining, because then I'm just tired the next day. And I got a family, I got a son and my wife, so I still got to like be available to them. It might be energy taxing, but then it's just, come on, man, when you make those records and they come out and the world hears them, that's also the most gratifying. So it's those long nights, it's putting in that work, but it's also those are the times where like you really get to build your relationships with people too, um like when you see a lot of these artists like in a concert or out of the club or in public, like it's normally quick. It's like a what's up type thing. Hey, how you doing? Peace, right? If they might stop and take pictures with their fans, but when you're when I'm locked in with some of these artists, like that's how that's my opportunity to really like show myself, my work ethic. But then as you build professionally, you also build personally, and you start to build real relationships and friendships, and I value that the most. So that might be the tough, being up late and the crazy hours might be the toughest thing, but that's also some of the most gratifying stuff as well.
Paint the picture for me, right? Say, for example, and I'm an artist, right? What are the expectations that you're expecting with an artist once they're in the studio?
You better be ready to work. And every artist brings something different to the table. Like I've worked with artists that maybe they are an incredible songwriter, they're an incredible recording artist, so they can just get in and knock out, 5 to 7 songs in a night, right? Which that's a lot. And there are also some artists that they might not be the best writers, but they have a great voice or they have a huge following and fan base, right? And then we have to bring in writers and producers and people to help them put the songs together. No matter what, it's like, no matter what their route is, it's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. But the artist got to be ready to work. If you don't know how to write amazing songs, be ready to learn and take direction. And as long as they can do that, then awesome. And then other people might be amazing writers and some rappers are incredible freestylers and they'll just get in and like bust down a verse really fast. Well, can you write dope songs? Um, and then that's where they need to be open to changing things or writing another hook if that's not the best hook. You know, same thing with myself on the production side. It's like it takes a great song and it takes a great track in order to have a great song, right? A great, written record, great lyrics, great melody, and a great beat in order to get a great song, right? So there's sometimes the song will turn out, doper than maybe where the beat's at. So I got to go in after that and evolve the track. It's just you got to be ready to work. You got to be ready to do what's ever needed and try things. I think some of the greatest work that I've seen people do is when they do things that they're not comfortable doing things that they've never done before, stretching those limits as an artist. I think I saw a great saying the other day. um Artists have to be uncomfortable with making people uncomfortable, whether it's saying something that is crazy or it's saying something that pokes somebody under the skin. Like that's what great art does. It provokes emotion, so we got to be ready to do that.
To this day, since you've been producing probably millions of songs by now, has there ever been one song that was the hardest to produce in the studio?
I mean, there's definitely some artists that I work with that they don't get it on the first time, so it might take second or third or fourth or fifth session. Some songs I worked on for a year, just you keep coming back and revisiting. So I can't say there's like one in particular that I can think of off top, but yeah, for sure. Like there's probably a lot of stuff that I have sitting in the computer that it might be like 90% done from 5 or 6 sessions, and it just needs that one more session to like push the song over the top so we all feel happy about putting it out. The reality though is when you have that magic, like when you just work with the person, and it's normally like you normally feel it right away when you work with somebody new, and you're just like, oh, they got something that's dope. Like whether it be their songwriting or their voice, their vocal tone, the way they sing, the way they swag stuff, like you know. And then it's like I might just have the right beat for them, or I make something with them right on the spot because that's what they're looking for, and then boom, just like magic happens. That's the stuff that's what I normally pay attention for. Those are the records where you're kind of like, oh, okay, like these ones feel great. These ones need to come out ASAP.
Now, for you, when did you realize you wanted a career in the music producing side, get into the place that you're at right now? I mean, I know that you started your first career in baseball, but what were some of the other career goals that you had in mind before picking a career in the music production side of things?
I mean, I guess it kind of just happened, like in terms of just natural progression. Um, I think, yeah, like we've talked before, like I was lucky enough to get a scholarship for baseball, and I thought, that was like my first like career choice. I'm like, cool, how do I play, baseball for as long as I can. But my goal there was just I just want to get school paid for, and I was lucky enough to do that. That was a goal that I got to check off the bucket list. And my last year in college, I took all my electives. I took all music electives. So I took a choir course, I took piano courses, I took an orchestra course. Um, and then when I got hurt my junior year in college, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew music was the only thing I loved just as much, if not more, than playing baseball. So I think that set me on a journey to dive into the music industry any way that I could. Um, I think in the beginning, I just wanted to be around it. So because there was no record labels at the time in the Bay Area, I started working in radio. So I went to go work as an intern for iHeartRadio, and then eventually got brought on. Then started getting my first songs on the radio as a producer, just making beats. And then I realized there was this whole, I could really take like the production side more serious, but I needed a job still. I couldn't, music wasn't like paying my way yet. So I still worked in radio, but it kept me around the music business where I got to meet artists and it gave me access to the industry. And then eventually it just, stuff just starts happening. It starts speeding up, and it goes from one record to a couple records playing regionally or locally, and then a record takes off, and then I got to move to LA, and so it was just um but yeah, the production, I think there's been a couple like kind of forks in the roads in my career where I had choices where I could have jumped on the business side as well, or stayed in radio and media if I wanted to. Um but I knew that my real passion was creating the music. I really enjoy working with artists. Um, I am an artist. I like to, you know, paint the picture as you could say, or direct the orchestra. And that's where I feel like the DJ space really kind of allows me to be like the orchestra. What's that person? The conductor of the orchestra. I feel like that role as a DJ right now in my career allows me to orchestrate the party, set the vibe, set the mood. Yeah, I mean, I love the creativity side, So I don't think there was like a one moment where I was like, oh, this is what it has to be, as much as it is like I just kept following the passion. Like, what did I love? And when a couple opportunities came up to jump on the business side, and they just didn't feel right, you know? So I paid attention to my gut and followed the creativity, followed my heart. And then eventually, it's kind of all fallen into place. And I mean, there's still more to do. I don't think I've made my best songs yet. Um, but I think that comes with learning how to put the creativity and the music together along with the business. So I'm doing both, and I still want to become the best music producer I could be, the best songwriter, the best, you know, musician I can become. And at the same time, I still want to learn, how to be the best music executive, or, the best A&R, the best artist development person, whatever is on my plate. I just want to be great at it. So, and every role is different with every project that I work in.
You talk about creativity and definitely the inspirations that have been in your life that have helped you in your career. Calvin Harris, Tiesto, Sublime, Timberland, Jermaine Dupri. With those names that I've mentioned, how have they helped you get to the place that you're at?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that you just mentioned, they're DJ producers. I definitely follow a lot of people like that. Um, Again, working with somebody like Lil Jon, um, it's been so inspiring because the dude's been along for around for how long? Still headlining Vegas, doing massive concerts and tours, around the world, and the guy's still making great music, you know, um, and still doing what he loves. And so, yeah, I look to people like that, and it just like shows me like I think like him, E40, Too Short, like those guys, like they're in their 50s now, like still playing at like the top of the game. Too Short and E40, just put out a project with Snoop and Ice Cube called Mount Westmore. It's like, and then they did a big national tour. It's like, so it just goes to show like there's no age limit to this. There's no end of the road until you say you're done. And I'm still going. I'm 15 years younger than these guys. So I definitely I see a dope path ahead. And I'm looking forward to, again, doing bigger and better work.
Now, you mentioned about age, obviously age is just a number, but for you at age 30, that's when you got your big break in the music industry. And obviously, you were in LA at the time. So during all those years of developing and whatnot and being in LA, it definitely ended up being something worth it because it definitely got you to the place that you're at right now, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, and I mean, man, I almost wish I would have moved to LA earlier. Because I think I moved to LA when I was like 27, and if I would, but again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Again, I'm just grateful and thankful for the steps that my life has allowed me to take. I think the biggest thing is just realizing that when we have goals and dreams, like there's a process to getting there. And so I think now that as I get older, I'm in my late 30s now. So it's like I just try to be more specific with the things that I'm doing now. I think when I was in my 20s, I was kind of generalized. Like I just wanted to be, in a certain space. I wanted to work with like an E40 or Too Short, or, when I was coming up, like, Sage the Gemini and I Am Sue and, John Hart, like those were my peers that were blowing up. And yeah, I just wanted to be a part of those things. Now I feel like with what we're working on at Empire, I really have the opportunity, we have the opportunity as a team to curate what's next. And so I'm just looking at things from a different perspective. While everybody is per se, where most people like in LA might be chasing whatever's hot, to me, we're trying to curate and make and create what is next, what is going to be next. And I like that positioning. I like that thought process a lot better. When everybody goes left, we get to go right. You know, um, it's a harder path because you have to um, win over the hearts and souls of young people, of people who love music, who want to participate in music. Um, but it's very rewarding. Like I can't stress enough how cool it's been to watch like uh, Empire build, like our Empire Africa team, and watching it start from like literally like ground zero to now like knowing like we have partnerships with artists like Burner Boy and who's arguably like one of the biggest artists in the world right now. On our Empire Latino side, we have this artist named Jay Wheeler, and he just put out a song with Manuel, and watching this thing just do like you know millions of streams like over the like a day, type stuff. And the company wasn't yeah, it wasn't at that level when I moved to LA. So now to be at home in the Bay, um, getting the opportunity to work on things like this and cultivate, the to work with the teams that are cultivating these projects, it's a dream come true.
You had a lot of success in your career. You've talked about a lot of the artists that you've worked with, but one of your dear friends that you've known for more than 7 or 8 years, it's definitely got to be E40. I want to go back to a specific time in your life with E40. July 26, 2019, you produced E40's Practice Makes Paper, produced Goat featuring Milla, and just, you know, ended up being your second charting song on the Billboards. And just talk about what that meant for you to have not only just but one, but two charting Billboard songs.
I'm going through my phone because I'm trying to find there's a photo of that day. See if I can find it. Okay, let me see if we can see that. I'll have to send this to you. Okay. So my son was not even a year old yet, and I'm gonna be able to show that to him one day and be like, "Yo, E40 is one of the greatest rappers of all time." And I think there's like Billboard's already put out statistics. I think like I want to say, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe he has the most Billboard entries of any independent artist ever. You're gonna have to fact check me on that. But yeah, man, like I just want to be able to give Uncle 40 his flowers. Like, bro, like when What We On came out, he had dropped like another song like, for the Warriors like around that time as well. I just remember texting him, and this is a few months ago. I'm just like 40. I just want to give you your flowers, like congrats on everything that you continue to do and you still do because you inspire me. And I think he texts back and he goes, you've always been solid. He's like, I respect you too. Or he's like, I appreciate you. You've always been solid, not salad, you know? And it's like his little euphemisms, it's his little sayings. It's like, and it's meant so much not only to me, but in West Coast culture, but man, to all of hip hop. We're talking now, hip hop is 50 years old, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And I'm so grateful and thankful, like, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, like he was one of my favorite rappers, right? And then fast forward, 15 years later, I could call him, I could text him, I could have, you know, life conversations with him. I could hit him on business questions, and every now and then, a couple times a year, he's gonna hit me saying he's working on a project, say send him some beats, you know, and I love that. You know, I couldn't I couldn't be more happy, with how that part, you know, of just how Barry cultures influence me, and then the fact that I get to talk to some of these legends and just tell them how they've influenced me. I know they appreciate it, because that's like the stage I feel I'm at now. Like now I have youngsters that are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Like they're hitting me saying, "Man, I've watched what you've been doing for the last 10 years. Like I want to learn how to do what you're doing." And it's like that's how I look at, my elders. I get to look I look up to them, and I just make sure I tell them regularly, like, I appreciate you, you know.
Talk about the creativity and just pushing the music out and just building building a lot of things in your career. I gotta ask you, I know earlier you mentioned about a little bit of the future plans that you want to do in your career. As far as the future goes, projects.
There's a couple things, definitely a few things that we're working on that I'm really excited about. Again, like just DJing and being in the house and EDM space, combining genres from hip hop to Latin music to dance hall to African music and putting them into this dance market. Like I really, really enjoy that. Um, I'm definitely focused on that as far as like building those sounds. One of the things I got to do when I got to Empire was I got to create an imprint, which is basically like my own label, my own digital label. And we called it UDM, Urban Dance Music, because that's what I feel like I do. Like I work in, I make music in all these different genres. And then for my label, I want to be able to remix these records or make records that just, they represent like our urban cultures, um, from all cultures. Like what I love about growing up in the Bay Area, like, like there's a huge hip hop and African American community, there's a huge Latin community, there's a huge Asian community, there's a huge Middle Eastern, diaspora, so there's a lot of different cultures that I've grown up around, and I've come to just admire it all. So um I know like they sent I they Empire sent me to the Middle East earlier this year too. I flew into Tel Aviv, Israel, and then I went into Palestine to go work with some of our top acts from that part of the world. Empire, again, we call it Empire Wana, West Africa, North Asia. They're trying to get away from like the Middle Eastern stigmatism, which I agree with. And so it's just been awesome, man. Like to do stuff like that. They sent me to the Bahamas earlier this summer to go work with a bunch of DJs from like Europe and like the UK. Thought that was phenomenal. So that's kind of like that's what my focus is, and then, you know, I've got two particular artists, Stunner Man, who's got a huge song called Big Steppin'. He's from the Bay. We just put out a project together. It's primarily West Coast music, but then there's some Afrobeat influence. And then I have another artist named Baby Gas. He's from Oakland, but he's from Oakland, Mexican American. So with him, we're working on more of like the Latin hip hop, Spanglish, reggaeton. We're pulling him more into the kind of like the global market. So I'm really trying to do things that are going to have the opportunity to have global impact, but still be able to create within our culture, within the cultures that I have access to. You know, again, like I'm a mutt, like I'm mixed. My family's very from all over the place. My mom's from Hong Kong, China. You know, my dad's European. I grew up in San Jose where it's very heavily Latino populated. My wife is Mexican and Salvadorian. My son is all of that, you know. So that's really where my head is at for the future. And yeah, like why not? Like I keep telling myself this, like that's when I know like, hey, I really, really made it. Is when I get that number one record in multiple countries, when the Grammy comes, and the world tour, And until then, it just gives me things to look forward to, to kind of this is how can I build the blocks to get to that level, And I know I have a lot of learning to do, but man, I'm around an amazing team. Um, there's this shout out to this one of my favorite people that I've been able to meet and work with lately, Tina Davis. She's now the president of Empire. When I got to Empire, she was she was the head of A&R, and I've just been able to learn so much being in studio sessions with her and working with artists that she's brought to the table. And she's the one who discovered Chris Brown, and managed Chris Brown throughout, his entire career, and she's done it. She's done exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, whether it's as a producer, as a DJ, songwriter, engineer, or maybe in the future even becoming like an A&R, or an executive of my own label. Only God knows. And I'm just excited to keep doing it every day. I still, as long as I still love it, like I'm gonna keep doing it.
Who are you mostly thankful for in your career?
My wife, Nayeli, we've been doing this together. From the beginning. Um, and now my son, we got a baby girl on the way. And then, man, right after that, there's Ghazi, Furious, um, a guy named Waleed that really helped to get me in this situation. A guy named Brian Sampson, who's one of our heads of promotions and marketing. Um, Tina Davis, Moody Jones, Alon. There's a lot of people, man. This guy, a friend named DJ Rocky Rock, has been a really good friend. He DJ for the Black Eyed Peas, and him and I've been working on a project for the Philippines. I had this partner named Dub Shakes in LA. Uh, man, I mean, I could really keep going. The I could really keep going. There's I've had so many mentors along the way. A guy named Alex Mejia, who was a huge A&R for I think for Jive Records or Virgin Records. He helped me out a lot while I was in LA. Jazzy Jim, St. John, one of some like radio mentors. A lot of people, man, like because it's remember like this is really about people. This game is really about people. Like I love the creativity. I love making stuff, but it's also like who am I making it for? And I think when I was younger, I always tried to like meet the expectations of those who had done it at a high level before me. And those are the guys, a lot of people that I just mentioned, a buddy named DJ Triple XL, like a lot of these guys, like they have played the game at such a high level. A buddy named DJ E-Rock, Jay Espinoza, like, like, so when it comes to DJing, it's like DJ friends who play the game at a very high level. And that's my expectation for myself as a producer, songwriter. There's mentors that have played the game at a very high level. So that's the expectation for myself. And I just don't want to shortchange the game. I want to give everything I have in my lifetime to set the bar for the next generation, for the people that are coming up now. You know, um, there's a lot of great music coming out right now. But the reality is there's like 20,000 songs coming out every day. So how do we cut through the cloth? How do we create music that can be timeless, that my kids are going to listen to in 10, 15, 20 years and be like, damn, my dad made this one's still dope, like that's my goal. Like even like I go sample old songs all the time now. Like I think when I was younger I didn't even like the idea of sampling, but now I'm like, oh, I love going back and finding like old gems and bringing them back, you know and it's like but those old songs that I dig into now, it's like the production obviously has changed, the sounds have changed now, but some of these songs are so good, like they'll never die, you know. And I guess that's how I want to leave my legacy, leaving behind music that will never die.
Definitely excited to see what you have for the future and how you're just gonna keep on climbing and just continue to strive for excellence as you've always done in your career. So proud of you and your success, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, and you too, bro. I'm glad we've kept in touch over the years. And even look at your background, bro. It looks dope. So I'm excited to keep building.
Appreciate your time, brother.
Likewise, appreciate you.